Good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. I got a little bit accomplished today. A little bit. I got the heater. I did run a good test on that diesel heater. Um, Actually, the best test yet that I've ran on it. So that was cool. I was kind of excited about that. I um I pulled it up, or pulled it out, and I mean it's not like it was cold outside today or nothing. It wasn't warm, but it wasn't cold either. I just cracked the door and ran the exhaust out the door and fired it up, let it run for about 15 minutes or so, and then shut it down. It didn't miss a beat. That thing fired right up, no problems, nothing. Everything seems to be working as I had hoped. I did not, because the landlord came over today. He wanted to take care of a couple of things, so I did not get the thing made for that goes in the window that the exhaust goes on. I did not get that made up today. Tomorrow is supposed to be a nice day as far as temperature, but it's supposed to be windy as all hell. So let me see what the weather's going to do as far as tomorrow. If it's too windy, I'm not going to be out there doing the beta testing stuff if it's just insane. So anyway, either way, I may have to do beta testing tomorrow if it's possible. I need to get back there or get back out there and get on that. However, otherwise, I will work on that part for the what it is. It is what it is. So like they make these little, what would you call it? Like a spacer, I guess, to put in a window, to run like say a dryer vent out of, and that's essentially what it is that I have. I'm not going to be running a dryer vent out. I've got actually a smaller opening that I'll be working with, and I'll be making a spacer for that. I'm going to use the pieces. I'm going to cut the round pieces of metal. Don't laugh too hard. I believe heavily in doing this type of stuff. The lids, the top and the bottom of, we get the, when I make chili, we get the big Bush cans. Hell, I don't remember. I think it's like a 111 ounce can or whatever. It's a big ass Bush can. It's like Bush's can. I think it might be a touch bigger than a number 10, but I'm not positive. Anywho, that's the size chili cans we get. You get one can, you put it in the pot. That's all you need, one can. We didn't used to do that, but it seems that Brooks chili is a thing of the past, at least for now. So we're using Bush's. Well, anyway, we've got these big cans, and I'm going to cut the top and the bottom out of one of them. And that's what I'm going to make my spacer with, because, the dryer vent is 4 inches, and I've got to go down to, 2.5 inches. So I need to make a spacer, and I'm going to use that light metal to make it out of. And then I've got a rivet gun that I'm going to put it all together with. And you'll see. I'll be doing a video on it, and then I'll be doing a good test of it then. And I will also, on the first chance that I get when it's a pretty nasty cold day, I will turn off our other heat, and I will run that and just see how well of a job it does at keeping up. Looking very forward to that test and to be able to give you the results of that test. So I got that accomplished today. Got a couple other small minor things taken care of that will help me in the coming days get a bunch of different stuff done. I've got a bunch of stuff I've got to do. A lot of it was just a matter of getting a chance to get 2 different things, and so I ought to be good to go. I ought to be able to stay pretty busy for a little bit now. Let's see. Trying to think if there's anything. I think really that's about it. I do have quite a few tabs open, including an article related to the title of today's show. Because, yes, apparently, traffic cameras are being stolen in Sweden and might possibly wind up in Russian drones. Now, hey, this could just be one of the Russia's a bad guy, kind of like Orange Man bad guy, Orange Man bad. This might be a Russia bad story. I don't know. But it's indeed a story that has came before me. So I'm like, really? I mean, not going to be a DJI, I'll tell you that. There's for those that know DJI, there's a little bit of a joke in there with that. If you have a DJI drone and you wreck it and say you break the gimbal that the camera's on, if you replace that camera with another DJI camera, it can even be a brand new one right out of a sealed package, doesn't matter. That camera has to be married or linked to that paired, however you want to word it, to that main board. So unless you have DJI software to be able to pair those two components, it's useless. And no, we don't have the software. I wished we did, but so that's why I was kind of joking about DJI, because it's not that easy. They do explain a little bit more of this, but I'm drinking coffee, so in time. Let's see. You guys might want to see what I'm talking about. Maybe. It says here, Sweden has been hit recently by a wave of roadside camera thefts, with up to 100 units reportedly missing already. Cameras of the same type have been discovered in Russian drones operating in Ukraine, local media reports, suggesting the occurrences might be linked. At least 3 more camera units had gone missing from the E16 highway between the towns of Hofors and Falun over the previous 24-hour period. Daily newspaper Aftonbladet reported Wednesday. Another 2 thefts of the devices had been reported by a local newspaper, Sadra Dalamis Tidning, I believe. The affected speed cameras are equipped with Canon brand digital single-lens reflex cameras, or DSLRs. Aftonbladet noted, or something similar. Cameras of the same type have been found by Kiev troops in captured Russian homemade drones, the newspaper reported, citing a video recently released by the Ukrainian military. Footage appears to show wreckage of a Russian Orlan-10 or Ural-10 surveillance UAV, which is standard equipment for the country's military, with a Ukrainian serviceman showing a bulky camera said to have been salvaged from it. Swedish Security Service said it was aware of the alleged link between the disappearing cameras and the purported discovery of units of the same type in Russian drones, but declined to provide any further comment to local media. And I'm going to speak up here in a moment. We have no opportunity to go into more detail or talk about our intelligence work, that person that I can't pronounce his name said. All in all, up to 100 speed trap cameras have gone missing in recent months. According to the Swedish Transport Administration, the thieves appear to seek only the cameras themselves, leaving the system's other electronic equipment, such as radars, untouched. Radars? Untouched. The wave of thefts has already inflicted heavy damage on the road surveillance system, as replacing a single road camera cost around 250,000 krona, or over $22,000. That might be a tip. Maybe. Now we have up to 100 cameras missing, so that's a lot of money, Ava Lundberg, an official with the administration, told local media. Well, let me put your minds at rest, Sweden. It's not the Russians stealing your cameras. It's your citizens stealing the cameras for one of two reasons. Either A, they don't appreciate your frickin' cameras. Probably not. Or B, a big B, they are stealing them and reselling them. Why? Oh, I don't know. Because everybody's had to figure out something the last few years. Possibly. Maybe. It's the Russians. Russians are sneaking over the border. They're cruising down the I-95. And they're stealing the speed traffic cameras. Bastards. Yeah, I'm just I am just not buying that story. But hey, it's in the news, it must be true. Let's see. U.S. Navy should be ready to fight tonight, says Top Admiral. I think there are some people that are a little hopped up on too much coffee. But anyway, this says a senior admiral in the U.S. Navy has warned of a potential military conflict with China. Admiral Mike Gilday urged the military to keep warships lethal, capable, and ready to win against enemies. Gilday, chief of naval operations, said readiness and crew training should take priority over military capacity, speaking in an interview on Wednesday with the Atlantic Council, NATO's de facto think tank. What we've seen over the past 20 years is that the Chinese have delivered on every promise they've made earlier than they said they were going to deliver it. So when we talk about the 2027 window, in my mind, that has to be a 2022 window or potentially a 2023 window. I can't rule it out, he said. His remarks came in response to a question about the so-called Davidson window. The term refers to last year's assessment that the Chinese government may manifest its ambitions to supplant the United States and our leadership role, potentially by targeting Taiwan within the next 6 years. It came from Admiral Phil Davison, the outgoing Indo-Pacific combatant commander, during a Senate hearing. Gilday stressed that if the U.S. Navy fails to get funds, I wonder if that's what this is about, and carry out crucial tasks including maintenance, and he kind of really does like those new high heels, it may soon look like the Soviet Navy in the late 1980s. Now, I'm pretty sure... Nah. Let's see. Military was a different thing in the 80s. Their ship count included ships that they kept from the First World War. They had quite a ship count, but I am not sure that many of them were relevant, he concluded. And I don't want to field ships out there in a fight that are not lethal, capable, and ready to win. China is currently holding the 20th Communist Party Congress with over 2,200 delegates attending. President Xi Jinping mentioned in the Taiwan issue during his address to the body last Sunday. We will continue to strive for peaceful reunification with the greatest sincerity and utmost effort, but we will never promise to renounce the use of force, and we reserve the option of taking all measures necessary, he pledged. The Chinese leader warned that the use of force may become necessary due to foreign interference. Taiwan was the last stronghold of the nationalist forces during the Chinese Civil War of the 1940s. It remains self-governed, but Beijing claims sovereignty over the island and opposes any attempts by foreign nations to treat it as de facto independent. So, there. I think he's looking for funding. I mean, I'm not saying that China's not going to pounce on Taiwan, but I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. And if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I think we've got a few days left at least. I think there's a whole lot of fear-mongering going on by a whole bunch of people. Governments, content creators, media of all sorts. I'm not saying we're in good shape, and I'm not saying that we're headed to a good place. What I'm saying is breathe. Do what you need to do. Take each day, one at a time. Thank the Father for giving you that day, and do what you can with it. That's it. Worry isn't going to make that day come sooner or later. All it's going to do is prevent you from being able to respond accordingly. That's all there is to it. Nothing to worry about. Only things to act on. Zielinski denies ordering attack on Crimean Bridge. This is interesting. So, and as it says there, officials in Kiev have taken credit for the blast, with the Postal Service even issuing a commemorative stamp, which doesn't mean anything. Let's not forget the whole ghost of Kiev nonsense that they had going on. But I find this interesting because what purpose would Zielinski be serving by denying ordering this attack? This would be something that if he was behind, he should probably be boasting about. So I find this very interesting. I'm starting to think that maybe Zielinski wasn't behind that. Just like you and I both know that Zielinski himself wasn't behind the pipeline getting blown. I'm willing to bet that the same country was responsible for both. I think that might be why there's a little bit of a difference of opinion on how it went down. You know? Let's see. I'm sure you probably heard about this. It just came through on RT, so I figured I would add it. And for those that may not have heard about it, I will go into it. Emmy-winning journalist missing after FBI raid, says media. Says James Gordon Meek, an Emmy Award-winning ABC News investigative journalist, pardon me, who reported on military and national security-related stories, has been missing since an FBI raid on his home in late spring, Rolling Stone reported on Tuesday. The journalist has not been seen or heard from publicly since federal authorities descended on his apartment in Virginia on April 27th. His last tweet was posted at 5 a.m. on the morning of the agent's arrival. ABC News, where Meek had worked for 9 years, has now also confirmed that he resigned very abruptly from the network shortly before his disappearance. His colleagues at the network say he fell off the face of the earth. According to Rolling Stone, Meek has yet to be officially charged with anything, and the nature of the FBI raid is unclear, as authorities refused to comment or disclose any documents related to the case, citing a pending investigation. However, it appears that the actions of law enforcement were authorized by a magistrate judge who signed off on the warrant a day before the raid. Anonymous sources, though, told the outlet that Meek, who had broken several high-profile stories related to government missteps and military cover-ups throughout his career, may have possessed classified information on his laptop. Meek's attorney, Eugene Gorokov, responded to the rumor by stating that his client was unaware of the allegations anonymous sources are making about his possession of classified documents. If such documents exist as claimed, this would be within the scope of his long career as an investigative journalist covering government wrongdoing, Gorokov added. Rolling Stone reports that in the months before his disappearance, Meek was working on a book called Operation Pineapple Express, the incredible story of a group of Americans who undertook one last mission and honored a promise in Afghanistan, which covered the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from the war-torn country. The book was to be published by Simon & Schuster. However, after the raid on his home, Meek's name was dropped from all press material related to the book, and a photo of the cover disappeared from his bio on social media. Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann, a former U.S. Army Green Beret who co-authored the book, told the outlet that Meek contacted him in the spring and was really distraught. He told me he had some serious personal issues going on and that he needed to withdraw from the project, Mann added. So, I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And we allow it. I don't get it. What do you mean we allow it? The only thing anybody's willing to do about any of this is vote every 2 or 4 years. You're not going to fix anything that way. I'm just saying, and I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm just telling you about what's not working. There are some things that will, though. But we can't really discuss that. Why? Well, because much like that man and Mr. Michael Hastings, shit happens. Let's see. Okay, that was an opinion piece. RT had an article, so I was just making sure it wasn't something that needed to go out. Power cost in Italy going through the roof, says data. Electricity tariffs in Italy saw record growth last month, exceeding 136% on an annual basis, according to the National Union of Consumers report on Tuesday. The report said that in September, electricity prices came out on top in the ranking of the most expensive goods and services, which the union regularly compiles based on data from the Italian National Institute of Statistics, or ISTAT. In the category of non-food products, electricity prices were followed by costs for air travel across Europe, which have risen 128% over the past year. Then came intercontinental flights, for which the prices almost doubled, 974.4%. Gas tariffs increased by just under 64% in September. As for food products, the ranking was led by vegetable oils, with the exception of olive oil, up by almost 60%. The prices of butter and rice rose 38% and 26.7% respectively. Other foodstuffs that saw price increases of more than 20% include pasta, canned milk, flour, and basic vegetables. Only for food and drink, every single Italian family will pay an average of €660 more per year, the Consumer Union's president, Massimiliano Dona, said. He added that families with 2 children would have to pay 900 euros or $885 more, and those with 3 children would be 1,075 euros or $1,057 more. Inflation in Italy climbed to 8.9% in September on an annualized basis, ISTAT data shows. Meanwhile, the consumer basket saw a rise of 10.9% over the year. Such a high increase in the price of basic foodstuffs and personal goods has not been recorded in Italy since 1983. Once again, it's the entire planet that this is happening to. Isn't that amazing? I gotta have a drink of coffee. I've got 3 more open. I had quite a few open. Now you know why I'm kind of trying to run through them. Oh, man. Yep, I was very, very pleased with the performance of that heater earlier and how well it worked. Did a really, really good job. It didn't take long, and you could tell it was much warmer in here than it was before I turned it on. And, you know, it wasn't cool enough that the heaters needed to be on. The regular space heaters, it wasn't cool enough for them to need to be on. And you could tell it was really doing a number on warming the place up, and it was turned down pretty low. So that's a good thing. Oh, man. And to be able to provide heat with just diesel fuel and about 30 watts worth of power, yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Now I just got to get diesel. All right. Japanese yen crashes. So that's certainly not a good thing. Japanese yen hit its weakest exchange rate against the U.S. dollar since 1990 on Thursday, dropping to 150 yen to the greenback. The Nikkei 225 stock index was also down, losing nearly 1% during morning trading to 27,006.96 points. The Topix index shed 0.51% to 1,895.41. Japanese Finance Minister Sunichi Suzuki threatened to intervene and vowed to take appropriate steps against currency market volatility. A yen previously slid in June when it hit 132 against the dollar, the weakest level in 20 years. Analysts say the depreciation of the Japanese currency stems from the central bank's reluctance to tighten monetary policy at a time when the U.S. Federal Reserve, along with many other regulators, is hiking rates to tame soaring inflation. Japan's current baseline interest rate stands at 0%. The Bank of Japan on Wednesday ruled out a rate hike to prevent further weakening of the currency. Policymakers stressed the need to protect the economy from heightening overseas risks. A meeting of the Bank of Japan is scheduled for next week. So in other words, Japan is trying to isolate themselves from what the rest of the world is doing. Probably got a good reason for that. Doesn't seem that long ago that I shared a very similar headline to this. And I don't know if it was Britain or the EU, UK. I have no idea. I can't remember. But I remember that the headline was much the same. It talked about people skipping meals to save money. People don't skip meals to save money. and I said this the last time too, people skip meals because they don't have the money. That's I don't get when I see a headline like this how they can even fathom that people are skipping meals. Now we're not talking about not buying the extra lean burger. We're not talking about maybe going with a generic brand or something like that. No, we're talking about skipping a meal. That's not something you do to save money. That's something you do because you don't have it in the first place. Anyway, it says millions of British households are being forced to skip meals or buy cheaper food, which, again, that I can understand, due to rising cost of basic products, a consumer watchdog group has said, citing a new poll. More than 8 in 10 people in the UK, or 85%, are changing their eating habits in response to the rising cost of living, Consumer Champion, which said on Thursday. The most popular way of coping with inflation is to seek promotional offers, which is what more than half, or 55%, of the respondents reported doing. A total of 50% said they were switching to cheaper products that they didn't buy previously. Around 1 in 5 said they had started buying more frozen, or 18%, and microwave-ready, 5%, foods to reduce their grocery bills, they explained. Of those who said they were in a very difficult financial position, almost all, or 99%, said they were saving money on food in some way, while half, or 50%, reported skipping some meals altogether. The same was true for over a quarter, or 26%, of those who described their financial situation as quite difficult, and for 12% of people surveyed, and all people surveyed, something like that. Almost half, 47%, of those who reported living comfortably said they were also trying to save some money on food. The shift in behavior comes with potential ramifications for people's well-being, which said, with almost half, or 46%, of consumers saying they found it hard to eat healthily compared to the time before the crisis. The share rises to 78% among those struggling financially. The devastating impact of the cost of living crisis is worryingly, damn, that is hard for me to say tonight for some reason. Worryingly, yeah, just run with that. Leading to millions of people skipping meals or struggling to put healthy meals on the table, said Sue Davies, group head of consumer rights and food policy. Important person she is. She urged supermarkets to sell more products in the budget ranges that are also healthy to help those in a tough spot. The report was based on an online survey conducted by Yonder involving 2,791 UK adults, the results of which were weighted to be nationally representative. Sure. Consumer Price Index in the UK rose by 10.1% in the 12 months to September, according to the Office of National Statistics. Rising food prices made the largest upward contribution to the change since the previous month, it said. Just insane. Insane. But I've got one even more. Because, hey, I mean, what do you do whenever cost of food just goes through the roof and people can barely get by? Well, hell, you add a tax on it and make it more expensive because that's what you do, right? Right? That's how you fix it. You add a tax on it. That'll fix it. Farmers protest cow fart tax. I wonder why. New Zealand farmers took to the streets across the country in their tractors on Thursday to denounce Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's scheme to tax agricultural emissions, including cow farts and burps. They argued, I don't know if they're going to put like fart detectors on them, or Anyway, including well, they argued that not only would the added cost put them out of business, they would, which by the way is the whole agenda anyway. They would increase, not reduce, greenhouse gas emissions. These people are idiots. If you allow certain logging, for instance, you're actually helping nature out tremendously in many ways. Just leaving those areas alone, just to do whatever they do naturally, it's going to cause problems. Especially with things like wildfires and stuff like that. If you let people responsibly log and use those resources, you can keep that stuff trimmed to where it doesn't, you know what I mean? One area catching on fire isn't going to take out half a state. But the problem is, you have these people, my dad used to call them do-gooders. You've got these do-gooders that's all they do is do good, do good, do good. But the problems that they cause as a result of the very minuscule good that they do are devastating. And that's much of what I see happening out west with the whole foresting battle and the ranching battles. And in fact, I see that amongst many industries, including agricultural industries and stuff like that. They are doing everything they can to destroy anybody that can manage to make a buck that isn't on their approved list. It's insane what has happened. And I'm not just talking the last few years. Think about the last 2 decades. The last 20 years, or hell, let's extend it one more decade, 30 years. How much has this government ran businesses into the ground in the last 30 years? And not just businesses either, mind you. And it doesn't matter where you stand on this personally, right? Unions were ran into the ground. Everything that made this nation, and I'm not saying that unions made this nation strong. It was the idea that you had unions and you had non-union jobs. It was the balance of those two things that made this country great. Especially financially, especially as the American dream. That's what made this country. But over the last 30 years, the government has been putting a weight down. And a lot of people might think that that sounds a little bizarre when I say that, but believe me, it's not. When government steps in and they start mandating that companies do this and do that, that costs money. Every time something new, it costs money. When I think it was Bush Jr. Did the whole insurance nonsense, if I'm not mistaken, for businesses. Man, dude, I saw how bad that hurt small business. Because I personally got to see it. I had a boss that called us all into the office during our meeting. I mean, it was actually a regular monthly meeting. We had to meet every month. State law. They call it ongoing training. We had a meeting once a month. And at that meeting, he let us know about what his options were. And from what his options were, he could inform us of our options. And he more or less asked us, we more or less took a vote on which direction we wanted to go. But that whole deal with the insurance, man, and I'm not talking about Obamacare with Obama. No, I'm talking, this is before this. This is back when I was doing pest control. So You know, I don't know, 99, 2000 ish, right? In that era, I'd say anywhere from 98 to 2000. But anyway, yeah, I remember that, and it wound up one of the guys that worked for the company did have a lot of medical issues and did see the doctor quite a bit, was on quite a few medications and all that. And not only were we that didn't want the insurance screwed, but him that needed the insurance was screwed. Everybody got screwed. Nobody made out on that. Nobody did. And that's the type of nonsense that's been going on for the last 30 years in this nation. And it's gotten to the point to where businesses, they can't even get any breathing room. And the only ones that can are these major corporations that are on the government list. I'll be damned. It's insane. It is absolutely insane what is going on. And it's happening, by the way, from both sides. It's not just the Democrats. It's not just the Republicans. They are both doing this. Both. Just in different ways. You know, the founding fathers, right, didn't believe in political parties. They didn't want political parties. There was a very good reason they did not want political parties, and it was for this very reason. Because it becomes no longer about the issue. It becomes about the party. And that's all it is now. You know, right now, there is such a division that has been built in this country. And anybody that takes part in it is part fault. Period. But with all the discriminatory attitudes that people have against one another because they believe different politically or whatever. Hey, I'm not saying that you have to respect somebody that believes it's okay to kill babies in the womb. I'm not saying that. I'm the last one to say that. But at the same time, we don't have to speak to them and speak about them as if they are subhuman. There's a reason I say this. There's a lot of people that I'm sure still ask themselves to this day, what in the hell happened to people? What the hell was going through their minds during Nazi Germany? What in the hell was going through those Germans' minds? I'm not talking about Hitler's mind. I'm not talking about the SS mind. No, I'm talking about the people of Germany. What in the hell went through their minds to think, even for a moment, that any of that was acceptable? The answer to that is because Hitler got them to think of each other as less than human. That is what is happening right now between the Democrats and the Republicans in the United States of America. Those two parties are both responsible. Both equally responsible for putting this nation in the very damn same position as Nazi Germany when Hitler took power. That is where we are. That is what time it is in the United States. And that's why I will come down harsh on anybody that tries to throw some Republican or Democrat solution bullshit my way. Our founding fathers was smarter than that bullshit. I'm smarter than that bullshit. And I want you smarter than that bullshit. Anyway. I've heard enough about the farmers' protests. No. No, I'm just messing. No, I mean, it's true. It's fact. It's fact. We should be stewarding ourselves pretty carefully. I mean that. All right. Do got a fair amount of headlines tonight. So I'm going to have a couple of babes. Hey, it's my Friday. Fun times. I actually do enjoy having a couple of days reprieve, if you will. I mean, I still keep an eye on the news for the most part. But I just, you know. I think about, what really needs to be thought about. You know, if there's something big that comes up. But other than that, I just kind of, Anywho. Digging through windows here. Fun times. Okay. Okay, it does start there. U.S. says Russia oil price cap won't harm OPEC, says Reuters. Trump testifies in lawsuit brought by rape accuser. American advisor to Ukraine's military reveals war goals. U.S. growth forecast has been slashed. U.S. may end aid to Ukraine after the midterms, says Axios. Germany to cap electricity bills by taxing producers, says Reuters. U.S. Navy should be ready to fight to... Oh, I read that article. And that one. France pissed off at Germany over energy aid, says The Telegraph. Berlusconi trashes NATO narrative on Ukraine, says media. A Russian ex-president dunks on frantic Truss. A top Ukrainian official shocked by U.S. aid comments. UK premier steps down after 6 weeks in power. That didn't take long. Emmy-winning journalist missing... Oh, I read that one. Let's see. Russia sanctions behind EU diesel shortage, says Bloomberg. EU sanctions Iran over Ukraine drone strikes. Neanderthals found in Russia were family, says study. I hope they're not offended at being called Neanderthals. I mean, come on. Russian fighter jet fired missile near British spy plane, says London. Pound rallies as Truss resigns. Imagine that. Top WHO official in Syria under investigation, says AP. Number 10 Downing Street cat makes PM bid. I mean, why not? I mean, gotta have a better haircut than Johnson. Russian governor's son detained in Europe at U.S. request. Zelensky sanctions thousands of Russian nationals and organizations. Zelensky... Oh, I covered that. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez mocks protesters at town hall. I wonder why people just color AOC. Putin shoots rifle on visit to mobilize troops in training. Imprisoned opposition activist Navalny facing more charges. New Zealand mandates jargon cut back. Yeah, there's a word in that article that, yeah, this one, sesquiped, yeah. Yeah, I actually had to look that up, and yeah, the word pretty much describes itself. Yeah, you'd have to look it up. Let's see. Iranian troops running drone strikes from Crimea, says the U.S. Boris Johnson plots his return as UK PM, says media. Let's see. U.S. nuclear ambitions hindered by Russian problem, says media. Oh, wow, we're almost done already. Star Wars actor sent 500 drones to Ukraine. And that's that. Pretty quick and easy. Not really, but it'll work. Anyway, I am gonna run out the back door. Not really, but gonna get the heck out of here and relax for the next couple of days. And, well, not really relax. I'm going to be getting stuff done. Probably a lot of stuff done. But, I mean, relax as far as, I won't be doing the show. So, probably tomorrow I'll be getting on doing that part for the window for the heater, though. So, I would imagine you'll be getting a video on that here pretty quick. So, alright. I am going to get out of here. I appreciate everybody coming. God willing, we will be back on Sunday night to start all over again. I hope you all have a great weekend. I hope to see you on Sunday. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.